And get started with Dr. Meacham, that would be great. If you wanted to go ahead and present, we'd love to hear you.
Yeah, hi everyone. Can you hear me okay? Okay. Hi everyone. My name is Taryn. I'm actually not a doctor quite yet. I'm only a third year medical student, but I will be in a couple of years. A little bit about me. I went to undergrad at the University of Washington, Bothell in Western Washington. And then I'm currently like I said, a third year medical student at the University of Washington School of Medicine in Spokane, which is in Eastern Washington. And I've pretty much always wanted to be a doctor. I remember my dad actually asked my pediatrician when I was a little kid, what is a good medical school to go to? So it's truly been a lifelong dream. And then as I grew older, I found that I really loved the science behind it and, the ability to really serve and connect with others. And yeah, so I just kind of grew to love it even more as I got older, which is a nice experience. And as far as future goals within medicine goes, I think I'm interested in pediatrics, so would want to do my residency in pediatrics, and then not sure, would probably either want to do like general pediatrics or potentially specialize in something. I'm still trying to figure that out. And then another big thing that's important to me is I really enjoy teaching and mentorship, which is why I participate in things like this. Because I love being able to share my story because, I ran into a lot of issues when I was applying to medical school because I didn't know anyone who had applied to medical school and didn't really have anyone to talk to. So I try to get out there as much as I can to be able to share my story in the hopes that it helps someone else. And yeah, I just really enjoy working with students. So hopefully we'll be able to continue working with pre-med, medical, and students and residents as I go. And then outside of medicine, I am a huge musical theater nerd. I grew up as a dancer and in a bunch of plays. So yeah, I still love to do that, watch that now instead of perform as much as I can. Excuse me. So when I was asked to present, I was kind of thinking about, okay, what can I really say in 5 minutes? And I think I wanted to share my personal story of being rejected from medical school the first time I applied and coming back from that because I think it has some good lessons in it. So basically what happened was I applied to medical school. I interviewed at 2 places and I was outright rejected from one place and then I was waitlisted at the other place. And so when you are rejected, you can oftentimes request like a meeting to figure out, okay, what do I need to do to strengthen my application and reapply in a future cycle? So I was talking to the director of admissions for one of those schools. And in that conversation, it was a very short conversation, I was told by her that I should consider something other than medicine, which is the last thing you want to hear when you are trying to get advice on how should I reapply. And that was very hard too, because, you think a director of admissions, she knows everything about medical school. And so if she says I can't get in, who am I to say, like how do you go against that advice? But so what it took for me was first I talked with the people that are close to me, my family, my friends, some mentors that I had at the time. I really did a lot of, I guess, soul searching, for lack of a better word, to try to figure out how to move forward with this advice because I was still really confident that I wanted to go into medicine despite this. And what I came to realize, and what's kind of been my mantra throughout the rest of my medical school career is I know myself better than anyone else, better than that director of admissions, better than those 2 people that interviewed me for 30 minutes, and somehow decided I was not fit for medicine. And so, really what I've learned is that once you have decided that you want to go into medicine, don't let anyone convince you otherwise. Because I applied the very next cycle with that mindset, and I got in to that very school that I was told that I couldn't get into, ironically enough. So I think it's just important to, because you're going to unfortunately face a lot of discouragement. I was lucky that my family and friends really supported me, but I've had other like pre-med advisors and such be not the most encouraging, or just other random people that really didn't know me that well. For whatever reason, everyone has their own hang-ups. But just really, even if you are lacking that support from family and friends, I think once you decide medicine is a path for you, you need to go for it. And really, I believe that there is no everyone faces obstacles. That's the big thing that I've come to learn as well, is that everyone faces obstacles in applying to medical school. Getting bad grades or a bad MCAT score. Maybe they have to take a leave of absence in the middle of school. Maybe they have to work and support themselves. Maybe they're a first-gen student, or the first one in their family applying to medicine. Or maybe they're like me and they have to apply multiple cycles in order to get in. Whatever the reason is, everyone has some kind of obstacle they have to overcome. And it doesn't mean that you can't get into medical school. It may mean you have to work a little bit harder than some other people who don't have those obstacles, but it is still completely possible to get in, as long as you stick to that mantra of I know myself better, and keep pushing forward despite what any of the naysayers may say. So I guess that's my big thing that I want to impart on you, is don't let anyone convince you, especially yourself. Don't let you convince yourself that you're not fit for medicine. If you really want it, you just got to put in the work, and you will get there.
Thank you. Am I on mute? Thank you so much, Dr. Meacham. I think that was a really, really good speech, and that definitely makes me feel more motivated after listening to you. So if we want to start going ahead and asking Dr. Meacham any questions or things you would like to know more about, we're gonna open the floor for that. So if y'all want to get off mute, turn your cameras on if you like. We can definitely start with questions. I'm just gonna go ahead and get started. How would you say? How have you prepared for just kind of SAT and going into medical school?
Yeah, great question. So I will say it was a long time ago that I took my SAT in getting into college, but I definitely echo what Dr. Gamarano said about the importance of really doing your research, so to speak, like through shadowing or volunteer opportunities, to really give you a chance to explore what you're interested in. I think are you mostly all high school students? Is that right? Yeah. So at your age, I think what you could focus on is, one, getting into college. Any college, you can go to a 2-year first and then transfer, or a community college and then transfer. You can go to a 4-year, any 4-year that's accredited. You don't have to go to some crazy place like Harvard or something. Although if you do want to go there, kudos to you. You are much smarter than me. So it's really anywhere that you can get in, but also pick somewhere that is going to be a good fit for you, whatever that may be. So like for me, I grew up in Eastern Washington State in a not too small, but a more suburban place. And so when I was considering where to apply to colleges and where I accepted colleges, so I applied to the University of Washington, the main campus, which is in Seattle. And then I also applied to 2 smaller schools, and the one that I ended up going to was the University of Washington, Bothell, which is also on the west side, but it's a much smaller place than Seattle. And even though I got into both the Seattle and the Bothell campus, I ultimately decided to go to the Bothell campus because knew it was going to be a much smaller program, and thought that I would definitely find, it's much easier to make connections with not only your classmates, but also like professors and everything like that. When you go to a smaller school, and also I've heard like at bigger schools it could be like ultra competitive and people are like backstabbing each other, which it doesn't have to be that way. And like I hope you all don't engage in that. It's much better to build each other up. But yeah, so I ultimately decided to go to the smaller school, even though I had a less robust pre-med program, because I felt like that, that small class size and everything would really be helpful. And also, I felt more comfortable living in Bothell, having come from a smaller place, rather than going straight to living in Seattle. And that's another big thing I considered when going to medical school, was like, what kind of environment do I want to live in? Because I am not a big city person. So, yeah, it's very, I wanted to live somewhere where I would feel comfortable and not have to commute a whole bunch, and not have to deal with high cost of living. I know I'm getting off on a bit of a tangent, but I think those things are important. And then, as far as like SAT goes, I think just continue to do well in your classes in high school. It lays a good foundation, and then just figure out a way that you can make sure that you prioritize SAT studying alongside with your regular studying, because I know that's something I struggled with, more so when I was trying to take the MCAT. But yeah, that's, I think, an important thing, is make sure you carve out time a little bit every week to really make that dedicated SAT time if you feel like you need that. I see some more questions going on in the chat, so I'll go ahead and answer those if that's cool with you. So first question was, what made me want to go into pediatrics? Excellent question. So I think I'm unique in the sense that I've known that I've wanted to be a doctor since I was a little kid, and also I'm pretty sure I've always wanted to be a pediatrician as well. And I still feel that same way. I just really enjoy working with kids. They have this, I don't know, this light about them, or you get to actually like play with kids, and that's like building rapport with your patients. Like you get to be all goofy and stuff, and you're still doing medicine. But I just find those visits to be so much more fun than working with adults. And yeah, and also I love the wide range in pediatrics, because so especially as like a general pediatrician, you are seeing everything from like day-old babies up until like teenagers who are your guys' age, and there's so much like medicine within those age range, because you're just growing so fast and everything's changing. So I like that you get to still do a wide variety of different things within medicine. So those are kind of my top reasons. Next question was, what are some ways to get clinical experience in undergrad? I think that's an excellent question, and I know that's one of the things that people struggle with the most, especially I did too, because it's just hard to get into clinical spaces if you don't have some kind of extra degree. So I was fortunate enough that where I'm at, or where I was in undergrad, there was a clinical volunteering program that basically trained you in the basic things that CNAs can do, which are certified nursing assistants. So I was able to bathe, feed, change, ambulate, or which is walk with, and take vital signs with patients. So really getting that hands-on clinical experience was super helpful. And I was able to do it with just like a short training, and then got into it. Unfortunately, that program's not available everywhere. It's called the Health Scholar Program. So if you happen to live in Washington or California or Hawaii, that's where it's at right now. Hopefully it'll continue to expand over time. But yeah, I would say, other options, I would look for other clinical volunteering programs in your area if anything like that exists. And then there's definitely options for if you want paid experience. So a lot of people do, like, they become a CNA, they become a medical assistant or MA. A lot of people do scribing. Those are kind of the top ways I feel like people get hands-on clinical experience. But really, whatever you can do to get in the door. And also, like, it's great to start off as like a regular volunteer, and then as they trust you more, you can like start to do some of the more of that clinical stuff. So be open to all kinds of opportunities for that. Is it important important to have a good idea of what specialty you want to go into when applying to medical school? I'd say absolutely not. Like I think I'm weird in the sense that I have always kind of known what I wanted to go into, but also I'm trying to keep an open mind in case that changes. But I feel like most people, like maybe they have a couple things they're interested in, but they really have no idea. And that's why in medical school, they make you do rotations in the different specialties. So you can really get a sense for what you actually like because, maybe you like working with a certain population, but the actual, like, there's so many other things that go into it, like the lifestyle, like Dr. Gamarano was talking about, how, like, being on call and stuff like that, certain, specialties, there may be more of that. And if you're not into that, how do you know that until you actually go through that? It can be hard to tell. So yeah, I would say on the contrary, it's important to keep an open mind because you have no idea, what might spark your interest along the way. What actionable advice do you have for high school teens, especially those who feel there aren't opportunities in their small towns? Yeah, that is an excellent question. So I think the thing I want to emphasize is that when what you do in high school is in terms of like long-term goals of getting into medical school. I can't speak to other schools, but in getting into medical school, what you do in high school really doesn't matter. In the sense that like when you apply to medical school, the medical schools are really only concerned with the stuff that you do in college. So I say that just to take the pressure off of you. So if you're feeling stressed, if you're like, I'm not getting clinical experience or shadowing experience while I'm still in high school, that's completely okay. I didn't do anything like that in high school and I still got in. I was more into like drama and dance and stuff. So I really did no like medical oriented extracurriculars when I was in high school and I still got in. So I would, keep that in the back of your mind. It's really hard when there aren't opportunities. What I would say is there are actually potentially more opportunities out there. You just kind of have to create them for yourself. So like one of the things I did one summer is I volunteered at a teen help homeless youth shelter. And when I was looking on their website, there was no like formal volunteer program, but I still wanted to get involved. So I just like emailed them or called them or both and was like, hey, I'm really interested in helping out. Can I volunteer? And they like created a volunteer position for me, basically. So I would say if there's, I would start just reaching out to whatever is in your area because I'm sure there are still some like doctor clinics or hospitals or something nearby and seeing what they might have.
Yes, I think we have a bunch of great questions coming in.
I do that.
Unfortunately, we ran out of time, but we can definitely get in contact with you and even forward you these questions. But I just want to go ahead and thank you for coming and speaking today.
Yeah.
We definitely enjoyed having you here, and I feel that we learned a lot of great things from you. So thank you once again, Dr. Meacham, for being here.
Right, real quick, I'll put my email in the chat so that way you guys can email me your questions. And then also, if you all are interested, I actually have a whole presentation that's kind of geared towards high school and early college. That's about a lot of these topics that are coming up. So if you ever want me to present on that stuff, I'm happy to come back and do that. So thank you for having me.
Yes, I think we can even have you in future speaking events too, and I feel we would learn a lot more if we just had enough time. If we could take a quick photo with you, would that be okay?
Yeah, of course. Just let me know when to smile.
Okay. We are ready. Okay, we got that. Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you all so much.